Thank you, Tracy, for welcoming us here and to Alzheimer's. We hope with a shared interest in the strong support of people with memory loss living in the community, we are all able to leave here today with a renewed vigour and ideas about how we can best meet needs with dignity. As with anything else in life, one size does not fit all. And this is why at Linkage we strive to provide service provision that is as alternative and unique as the very persons we come to support. Linkage is an example of how traditional supports, as we have always known them to be, may not meet the needs of everyone all the time. So we thank Alzheimer's for the opportunity to talk about our person-centred approach today. As we make this presentation, I will be outlining the fundamentals of the Linkage program, whilst Jan will be sharing with you some stories and reflections that will highlight these points. It's already up. Perth Home Care Services' philosophy and vision is centred around personhood. It's the very framework of the work we do in Linkage today. Our vision is people living at home with dignity connected to family and community. The Linkage program is for anyone living at home alone, experiencing memory loss, or alternately living with a person who is unable to provide support. A diagnosis of dementia is not necessary, but it seeks to support anyone who is experiencing confusion. The Dementia Monitoring Program at Perth Home Care Services began in February 2005, where Wendy Francis, as Tracy mentioned, created a small team of only 3 as a pilot program. Since then, it's grown immeasurably, and in the last 5 years has undergone a name change to become the Linkage program we know today. The numbers of Linkage support workers, both north and south, are now quite significant in number. Linkage is an alternative approach to dementia support in the community. It is holistic and quite truly person-centred. It begins with and is founded upon the development of a strong relationship between the person and the support worker in order to come to know this person and how they function within their home, around their family and their friendships, and within the community in which their lives revolve. Once we've established this holistic picture, we can start the journey together. As the support evolves, and in order to ensure longevity in the home, a number of key components take centre stage. Enabling environment strategies, issues around meal preparation, advocacy, connections to GPs and other allied health, as well as community inclusion, become an integral part of the support going forward. This friends-based rapport and trust-building approach is hugely successful in meeting resistance. Sometimes with little insight into one's memory decline and the impact this may be having upon activities of daily living, a person may refuse the very support they need to keep them at home, the very place they would choose to be. Traditional supports, with their often structured timeframes of visitation, as well as their goal-orientated targets, can often intimidate a person and in doing so be the quickest route out the front door. The support must aim to be fluid and as responsive as the changing face of memory loss can be from day to day. The initial visitation by a Linkage support worker may simply involve a shared cup of tea and a chat. All the while, the Linkage support worker is collecting valuable information and developing a genuine trust that is comforting and reassuring. The message is, may we walk alongside you. We receive referrals under HAC from the regional assessment services, as well as through the aged care assessment teams in the hospital and the dementia helpline. To work in this specific way and to be skilled to meet resistance, it takes a special person with a specific skill set. For this reason, we recruit in quite a unique way, by the presentation of an information forum that includes a series of scenarios. The candidates work through the specifically designed scenarios in groups. This allows us to see the potential support worker interact with others in determining the most dignified and effective approach to the challenges the scenarios pose. The very scenarios they themselves will encounter in their linkage support work journey. Is this person respectful, resourceful, forward-thinking? Are they compassionate, empathic, and are they investigative in their thinking? Do they have highly evolved communication skills? These are just some of the values and abilities we are looking for in a possible linkage support worker.
And just to add that, I love this process that we use where people come along and we do this scenario workshop. And I've found that over the years, the new staff that stand out have often never worked in the aged care sector. And so for me, it means they actually haven't been conditioned or used to work in a structured manner, which is often a better way to employ people. They're often more creative and open in their planning. Most of our fantastic staff would not have applied for a position if they were asked to send in a resume, often their mums returning to the workplace and don't have any qualifications in this area, or people that just want to change their career and do something different. So this value-based approach that we use, not qualification-based, is really essential to the staff that we employ. And you also have to have a wicked sense of humour to work on this program with us. So it's these fantastic staff that actually make the program. Programs are just programs, but it's the fantastic staff that make it a success. And some of them are here today in the audience as dementia champions who have been studying at Alzheimer's doing their Cert 4.
During the assessment and registration process, we begin the journey of personhood to learn as much about the past and present experiences of the person, as well as their future dreams and their expectations. It's an integral part of the program that time is taken to understand who this person is and how they have contributed within their own community. It is at this point that we come to understand the person's abilities and how they want to be supported. From this, we construct the most comprehensive of support plans that are central to the individuality of each person. Where lack of insight and subsequent resistance to support is present, appropriate and relevant information can be gained through family and friends.
One of the themes we've been working on in the program this year has been life stories, as we are aware of the importance that this can have for the person on their journey. They can choose to share it with loved ones and staff now and into the future, as they move on to higher levels of care and meet new people that do not know their story. Most of our staff have been working alongside the people they support and their families to collect this precious information. We plan for this to be one of the core elements of the program. One of our newest members recently completed a life story, and she was really pleased with the new things that she discovered about this lovely man she supports in the community. And also they got to spend this precious time together. I visited him last week and he was so proud to show the book off to me, which was validating of his life story.
Often by the time a person is referred for support, their loved ones, both family and friends, have experienced carer stress. Not only do families often need to know that they are not alone in this, but they can often be so close to the source they are unable to see that they themselves are in need of education and perhaps some information. We support this educational journey with strategies for them to cope and to ensure that their precious loved one is able to remain engaged and experience quality of life. Referral is often made to support networks and educational workshops, such as those offered by Alzheimer's Australia.
Recently, our staff had the opportunity to work alongside a really very proactive family, and we introduced them to things that are quite simple but important, and one of them was hiring a MediPrompt machine from the Independent Living Centre. They didn't even know this place existed. So they went there and hired it for a month and took it home and their mother loved it. It was great, worked really well, and then they went ahead and brought one because they could see the benefits of it. We also suggest that they put into the house a nice big whiteboard and a calendar near the phone. Again, simple things, but things that really make a difference. This lady responded really well to these new things that were introduced. They also weren't aware that they had that there were personal alarm systems that they could get, so they introduced this and also a key lock box. Another thing that we did with this particular family was we introduced them to training, workshops and counselling with our recommendation that they head off to Alzheimer's and review this. They especially appreciated such simple items and technology in the home, which had made such a difference to their mother's life.
At Linkage, we know that the person's journey will definitely continue beyond us. It's for this reason that as rapport is established, we begin the work of ensuring a solid foundation for the further transition. Is the relationship between the person, the GP, the family and the pharmacist strong and enduring? Is the person we support attending regularly at memory clinics and falls clinics? Are the connections within the person's community able to meet and evolve with ever-changing needs? Is the community involvement enhancing quality of life? These are just some of the elements we consider integral to ensuring a person not only remains where they want to be, but does so in the greatest of health possible and with true meaning of life.
And we do use many different strategies, as we mentioned before, to initiate and maintain this contact. And yes, we're often a bit sneaky in the beginning, and we say things like, we live in the area, and could we drop in just to have a coffee? I've yet to have a person say no to dropping in and having a coffee. One of our lovely ladies, Rita, was really resistant when we first met her, and she'd had a past history of depression and loneliness. And so first off, we introduced her to an amazing GP. She loves and trusts him, and she feels really happy to have time with him. A good GP, as we mentioned before, is like gold in the community. This GP is proactive and truly understands the valuable role that we are playing in her life. We are creating these wonderful teams of people on the Linkage program. Rita is from Chile, and we are lucky that the support worker that spends most of the time with her speaks Spanish, and as Rita is finding it hard to express herself in English. Rita had been a very keen lawn bowler, but had been dropped from the penance team as they found her unreliable, and when we contacted them, they were not interested in being involved with her anymore. So we've introduced her to a newer, friendlier club and arranged the transport for her. Rita has no family in Perth or in Australia, and she lives a minimalistic lifestyle without any photos or memorabilia from her past, and she says that it all makes her too sad to look at this. In the past, she used to use the internet and make contact with the family. So sometimes if she's in the right mood, we use Facebook, and she loves to view the pictures of her grandchildren, but she doesn't want to make contact with them. But we've been able to find some through Facebook, which is great. She doesn't want to attend a day centre because they're for old people, and we hear this a lot. She did start doing some gentle Zumba classes though at the community centre, and she loves small outings with the ladies for coffees and concerts, and it's really lovely to see her playful side when we take her out.
How can we support the person who has begun missing daily medications to remain independent with that? This is where the Linkage support worker is able to work alongside families to introduce simple technologies that ensure the person is able to manage their activities of daily living. With this, we may see the introduction of a dementia-specific clock, as well as a Webster setup, or alternately, a medication prompter where necessary. A whiteboard may be introduced into the home to support appointment keeping. These are just some of the small strategies to ensure a person with declining cognition can continue to manage their environment and maintain routines that bring purpose and wellness.
A few years ago, we had a referral from the ACAT from an interesting lady, Betty. We dropped in to visit her in the area weekly, and we only chatted through the security door. She wasn't going to let us pass that. That's all we saw. And this went on for 6 months. We just kept popping in, saying hello. We gradually got to know her and build the trust, and after then she started to come out with us for a coffee. Betty was, she came out with us for a coffee for a while, for about 4 months. So she'd come outside the house, come and have a coffee, but we couldn't get in. So eventually we kind of was, wanting to kind of see if we could get inside and see what was happening. And because when we went inside, we discovered that she was a chronic hoarder, and it was a really overwhelming environment for her. So she agreed that she needed a bit of help to remain living at home. And she had no hot running water. The bath, the shower, the bathroom sink, everything in the house was just filled with belongings. When we were in the house with her, she was also extremely confused and agitated, which we'd not seen in the community at all. A plumber was arranged to fix the hot water system, and over the next 3 months, we helped her with appointments as she was having some constant shoulder pain. We took Betty to the pain management clinic and monitored the patches that she was to apply. We arranged a skip bin, and after over 3-week period, 1 day a week, we helped her to create some space and go through the piles and piles of paperwork. Betty was able to have her first shower in 15 months. We set a goal together to have an afternoon tea on the dining table, which we did, decorated with flowers and served with a beautiful Royal Dalton set that we'd found as we were cleaning up. It was also at this time that Betty finally shared some emergency contact names of her children, because in the beginning she thought that they'd sent us there to get her into a home, so she wasn't going to tell us anything about her family. We applied for some funding through the Seniors Assistance Funding at the council, which is where we got the skip bin in. We also got her an orientation clock. We set up a big visibility calendar for her and a whiteboard, and to help enable her environment. Over the next 6 months, her health did decline and she did go into residential care, but she was ready. And we also took her to some places and showed her what they looked like, and it wasn't so scary an experience for her, and she settled into one.
Obviously, we seek to keep the person in the best health that's possible, and nutrition is an integral part of that plan. Where food preparation has become so challenging and the diet may create problems in other areas should it not be addressed, the linkage support worker may suggest and work alongside the person to introduce the likes of Meals on Wheels or Home Chef. All of the above can present a challenge to the person living with dementia, and often we find that there is no family support. Even with families involved, issues can be present and the environment may not always be ideal. At these times, the linkage support worker may take on the role of advocate. This may require contact with the public trustee or the state administrative tribunal, or alternately information for the family seeking guardianship or enduring power of attorney. Linkage seeks to provide this support also.
I've got lots of ladies. I've got another lady, Rose. I just have a run of ladies on here. What this particular lady tells us that she's cooking and that she also is using a microwave, but we know that this is actually not happening. So we have introduced Meals on Wheels. She went into hospital, so it gave us the opportunity for it to introduce it a couple of days a week, and she was happy to have that happening. Over the past year, though, we've also helped to set up the public trust as she was being taken advantage of by some of the neighbours. They were taking her off to the ATM and getting some cash. Rose was also adamant that a daughter is stealing from her, and the daughter wanted to be her guardian. So again, we supported Rose through this process, and she now has a public guardian in place. We've set up an account with the cafe over the road, so when Rose goes to visit, they give her sandwiches and food to take home, which she thinks is free, and she thinks it's wonderful. And we pop in on a Friday if we're not going to see her, and we take something and pop it over from the cafe. This is working really well, and the cafe build the public trust, plus they also keep an eye out for her. We've also asked her minister to be her emergency contact, which she is more than happy to do. And we also suggested that he have weekly prayer meetings be arranged at her house, and that's going really well. This is a great way to keep Rose connected with the parish community, and it gives her a meaningful role. Other thing we do is the staff take their lunch when they go to visit people, so they have lunch together and prepare simple meals, and they prepare grazing food, so popping things in the fridge that are easy for people to snack on.
When we see indicators that the person requires more support than the 4 or 5 fluid hours weekly, we or the family arrange for an ACAT for a higher package of support. In a perfect world, if Perth Home Care had a package available, then we can take the time required to transition the person on and gradually introduce new staff within the organisation. If we do not have a package, we hope that they go to a provider that can offer them the same quality of support that they have become accustomed to. In conclusion, we hope we've achieved what we set out to do when we agreed to speak today. Jan and I have years of experience together working in the community in this way and often revel in each other's stories of breakthrough. It's difficult not to bond and gain the trust of someone when you take the time to listen, validate and genuinely delight in a person's life story. It's a great privilege. Thank you for the opportunity to share that with you today.